Good day, everyone. Welcome to Real Conservative News. I'm your host, Nathaniel Rajkumar. Starting off locally here in Trinidad and Tobago, Prime Minister Kamla Persad-Bissessar is seeking to reassure that a recently formed military alliance between Trinidad and Tobago, Guyana, and the Donald Trump administration will ultimately benefit all of Caricom. And while speaking to members of the Trinidad and Tobago diaspora in Florida following the Shield of the Americas Summit, Persad-Bissessar defended her partnership with the controversial U.S. president. No, he's not controversial. He's actually doing something that all other U.S. presidents should have done in the past. But that is how the Bible says that the world will consider good evil and evil good. Describing him as a brave and visionary leader. I have issues with Trump, but it's not because of these reasons, though. The Prime Minister made the comments at an event in her honor at Joy's Roti Delight in Lauderhill on Sunday. Persad-Bissessar said she must acknowledge the great USA and sought to defend the different stance her government has taken to TNT's foreign policy since being elected into office. Very proud of our Prime Minister for making this right-leaning decision, conservative-leaning decision. My response: only those who are influenced by tribalism and radical jihadist concepts would believe that forming an alliance with the most powerful democracy on earth will negatively affect our region. They rather align themselves with communists like China, Russia, Iran. Iran is about to most likely come much closer to becoming a democracy again, although in the future the Bible already predicts in Ezekiel 38 that they will once again align themselves or collaborate with the king of the north, Russia, to invade Israel. But that's a whole different discussion. So I went on to say, you depend on the mighty US dollar in order to generate foreign revenue in your respective countries. And yet turn around and chant, we are sovereign nations and don't need any help from the colonial powers. You don't need any help from the colonial powers. Why are you depending on the great and mighty US dollar still? Trade with the Chinese dollar or the Russian dollar, no? Try it, no? Try it. You will like it. If that's the case, then you should stop encouraging American tourists, even if you're depending on the US dollar. Stop encouraging the American tourists to visit your islands, to spend their colonial cash. Stop visiting or living in the USA as well. You know, most of these individuals who have a problem with the colonial America, you know, a lot of them actually either visit to America or are living in America. You're living in the people country and bad talking it, you know. I'm telling you, the double standards and the hypocrisy of so many in the world today and so many here in Trinidad and Tobago is beyond comprehension. Don't go anywhere. More local, regional, and international news up next. Mainstream media's international relations so-called experts are questioning the long-term benefits of Trinidad and Tobago joining the America's counter-cartel coalition through the Doral Charter, raising concerns about its potential impact on Caricom relations and the longevity of the agreement under President Donald Trump. Now, of course, the reason why they're thinking that they are hoping and praying that by 2028 the Republicans lose, because of course this is Trump's second term in office, so he's not going back. There's no such thing as a third term in office. But so that's why they're saying about the longevity. So they are hoping that some other Biden will come along, another Kamala Harris will come along and reverse all of Trump's types of right-leaning policies. My response: firstly, all your experts and journalists claim to care about our sovereignty, as though our regiment or Superman Akash Samaru can protect us if Venezuela goes rogue again or some other terrorist regime decides to attack TNT. And you know what the PNM Patriots are saying? Oh, if Venezuela attacked Trinidad, it would have only been because we are supporting America and have military, U.S. military officers here in Trinidad and Tobago. How come Venezuela under Maduro was trying to annex half of Guyana, the Essequibo region? That had anything to do with America, you tribal PNMites? Getting back to what I was saying there. Secondly, you're worried about how this will affect our diplomatic relations with the rest of tribal Caricom leaders? Let them emancipate themselves from their negative perception of Western civilization. Tell them to grow up and stop defending communists, jihadists, and drug lords in our region. You can imagine that. I'm telling you, the Bible really said in the final days of the end times, good will really be considered evil and evil good, These Caricom leaders are so obsessed with tribalism, so obsessed with their hatred for our colonial past and colonial types of values and laws, that they rather support communists in Cuba, communists in Venezuela, communists in Russia and Iran and China, than to support the so-called colonial powers which are governed by our democracy, That I'm telling you, when it is you could basically allow race to control all your thoughts and values, I don't know what to think anymore. Honestly speaking, there are things that I want to say and yet I will not say, but I just don't know what to think anymore. That's why many countries will remain in third world status because of that type of mentality. Go back to Mama India, Akash, Samaru, and Ria Rambali. Go back. You don't like what's taking place in Trinidad and Tobago. You don't like that we are standing up for democracy and law and order in Trinidad and Tobago. Go back to Mama India. But you know what's the funny thing about it? Even Modi, Prime Minister Modi in India, is wise enough to align himself with both Israel and the USA, because those are the two main superpowers in the world today. And he realizes, for a lot of reasons, number one, he realizes economically speaking, when you stand with Israel and America, you're going to prosper as a nation. And number two, he also knows that even though India is a powerful nation and a large nation, they need America's assistance to defend themselves against jihadists in Pakistan and other radical jihadist countries. They know they cannot defend themselves on their own. They need the help of others, especially the most powerful, the superpower nation in the world right now. And that's not glorifying America more than God. God places leaders in positions for such a time. And now there's a serious time that we are in. The Bible says for such a time as this. And that's what is taking place. God is the one that has appointed America as the leader of the world right now. Who knows if America is going to fall before the rise of the Antichrist or during the rise of the Antichrist? We don't know. We don't know. All we know that we are in the end times. Prime Minister Kamla Persad-Bissessar has shared that she is deeply honored that the city of Lauderhill, Florida, proclaimed March 8, 2026 as the Honorable Kamla Persad-Bissessar Day. Yes, people, America, most likely Trinidadians and all, living in America and in Florida, but remember, Florida, right now at least, is leaning on the Republican side. They are commending Kamla Persad-Bissessar for making the right decision. In a post to her social media accounts, the Prime Minister thanked Mayor Dennis D. Grant, or Denise, I believe, Denise D. Grant, and the City Commission for this recognition. She also saluted the Trinidad and Tobago diaspora in South Florida. You see that all the Trinidadians are Pianamites, thankfully, especially in Florida. The ones in New York, well, they know that is little PNM country, whose contributions continue to enrich the region. Mrs. Persad-Bissessar stated that she remains committed to strengthening ties with the diaspora, who are vital partners in our nation's development. Yesterday, Barataria San Juan MP Saddam Hussein convened a critical meeting with the CEO of WASA, along with representatives of Trinidad and Tobago Police Service, TTPS, the Traffic Warden Division, the San Juan Lavantil Regional Corporation, the Fire Services Department, and the Chaguanas Borough Corporation to chart the way forward in desilting the El Socorro Main Road. That is good. According to the MP, this major initiative represents a significant step toward addressing one of the community's long-standing challenges. Once implemented, this project will bring much needed relief to residents who are frequently affected by flooding. Yes, all those areas, the drains and so forth are clogged, they are shallow, improving safety, mobility, and overall quality of life for for the people of the area. As much as I have issues even with Saddam Hussein at this point in time, because suddenly he has decided to come out and speak on the defense of his people in the Middle East, ignoring the fact that these radical jihadists in the Middle East, like in Iran and so forth, are persecuting their own citizens. And in Africa, radical terrorist groups are persecuting Christians. Thousands are dying in Iran. Thousands are dying in Nigeria, Sudan, and Congo. You don't hear Saddam Hussein talking about that. But putting that aside, this is good what is taking place in that constituency. Regional news now. The South Coast Marine Managed Area in St. Vincent and the Grenadines will soon have young stewards of the sea to help protect and monitor their environment. That's wonderful, getting the youth involved from young. The stewards of young sailors are being targeted by the St. Vincent and the Grenadines Sailing Association under the Tide Turners project. This is what we have to do even here in Trinidad and Tobago, get our youths involved in things that people usually say are for adults. I'm talking about positive things, they're proper things. And we're not talking about big people things, right? So that they could start to learn to love their country and want to get involved in saving our environment and saving our politics as well, trying to prevent Trinidad and Tobago from ever going back into the leftist, socialist style of governance under the People's National Movement.
Over the next 12 months, these young sailors will be exposed to environmental conservation activities, not only on land but also in the ocean. Outlining the activities at the launch last Friday, project manager for the Tide Turners project expressed optimism about the initiative.
He's very grateful to Louise Mitchell, who's inspired this whole thing and kind of gave her the inspiration and the motivation to keep on trying and to try to not only have the youth sailing, but at the same time teach them about the importance of the environment that they are sailing in.
The expertise of coastal marine biologist Joshua Gooden will be utilized to train the young sailors.
By the end of this project, they're going to be collecting data on coastal erosion, the bird species that occupy this terrestrial mangrove forest, coupled with behind Young Island. And they're also going to be categorizing different sources of pollution and where it comes from, to, in the end, inform adaptive management and restoration strategies for the South Coast Marine Managed Area.
The SVG Conservation Fund is funding the project to the tune of $54,000 EC.
We are happy to be a part of this project, as it's not just a grant given to the SVG Sailing Association, it's an investment in our youth and our marine environment across St. Vincent and the Grenadines. So we look forward to the work that they would be doing over the next 12 months.
Minister of Tourism, Civil Aviation and Sustainable Development, who attended the launch of the event, expressed pleasure with the initiative.
And we just thought that is really an excellent idea, an excellent initiative, and having the kids involved as well, that is really encouraging.
It was noted that the four main ecosystems, including mangroves and seagrass beds, will form part of the educational awareness component of the program. For SVG TV News, Larissa Pogsley-Kidd.
Residents of Flanker St. James in Jamaica were in a buoyant mood yesterday as they welcomed the reopening of the postal agency, which was out of service for a protracted period, to undergo Jamaican $3.5 million renovation, courtesy of the St. James Municipal Corporation. They are in recovery mode right now, and that is good news. Speaking at the ribbon-cutting ceremony, Senator Charles Sinclair, the councillor for Flanker, said the project had been a long-standing vision for the community, noting that the previous building was constructed sometime in the 1980s, had deteriorated significantly over the years. I hope they will do that here in Trinidad and Tobago and Sangre Grande. I don't know, it's probably other places in Trinidad as well. They're renting to have a building for TT Post. When we have the building right in the corner, right in the heart of Sangre Grande, that all it needs to do is that whole structure needs to be broken down, and a nice, wonderful, modern structure. Probably put it up in stories and all for TT Post, and probably to have other government divisions in that building. But you already PNM said that they were going to do it just before elections. We all know that was only talk, though. Criminal takedown. Bahamas Prime Minister Philip Davis is warning criminals that law enforcement will continue to pursue those who threaten the nation's safety, reminding officers that if they are caught, reminding offenders, that if they are caught, chances are you will face justice. Well, duh. But anyhow, the nation's leader made the remarks while visiting the Southern Shores community, where he met with residents to hear their concerns about crime in the area. Davis also pledged that under his administration, authorities will continue working to dismantle criminal networks, emphasizing the government's commitment to restoring order and protecting communities across the country. Let's just hope that this isn't just talk, because elections are around the corner.
Which means, take a life in this country, chances are we will find you and you will face justice. Every illegal firearm you carry, we will seize. Every criminal network built, we will dismantle. Every community you try to hold hostage, we will take back. That is not a threat. That is a promise of this government to the Bahamian people. The days of criminals operating with impunity in the Bahamas are coming to an end, and I will not rest until every Bahamian, in every community, in every island in this country can walk their streets out there. I'm not here to take a victory lap. I repeat that. I'm not here to take a victory lap. There are families who have lost loved ones. There are Bahamians who still don't feel safe. I carry that with me every day.
Some Barbadians are not benefiting from the increase in the national minimum wage because their employers have reduced their work hours. See what people do? But I can't really blame a lot of these smaller businesses. If it is they have to pay those full salaries, they may not make a profit to be able to pay rent and to sustain themselves as well. But nevertheless, there's need for laws to be put in place to prevent that from taking place, especially if it's to an extreme extent. Minister of Labour, Social Security, and Third Sector, Colin Jordan, voiced concern about this practice and said that his ministry intended to make sure that the workers of this country are not disadvantaged, that they are at least able to keep up with any increase in the price level. So you see, that's the thing about it. Even if you're going to reduce your hours, don't reduce it significantly, please. But there have been employers who, with the increase in the minimum wage, have reduced hours so that there are some people who are going home with the same amount of money that they were going home with before the increase in the minimum wage, he shared. He said, I'm a minister responsible for labor, for workers, and it will not go unnoticed or unattended. And as we try to allow workers to keep up with the cost of living, to realize that we're back to square one. What do you know the thing about it? I'm curious about it though. If it is your store usually opens for 9 hours and you're letting these people go before closing hours, we're gonna run the business. My goodness. But anyhow, let's see what goes on there, and hopefully they could be able to put some kind of law in place to prohibit these employers from taking advantage of their employees. International news now. White House spokeswoman Caroline Leavitt says President Trump will not allow Iran to halt freedom of navigation in the Straits of Hormuz. And contrary to what mainstream media, even here in Trinidad and Tobago, trying to push as though Iran is going to be able to fight back. La 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 la. All right then. He said we will not allow them to disrupt the flow of oil. CENTCOM also says U.S. forces are degrading the Iranian regime's ability to project power at the sea and harass international shipping. For years, Iranian forces have threatened freedom of navigation in waters essential to American, regional, and global security and prosperity. All that is justified reasons for Trump and Netanyahu finishing the job in Iran. The Israeli Defense Force continues to deepen damage to the Iranian terror regime's military systems and capabilities during a combined wave of strikes earlier yesterday on Tehran and Tabriz. The Israeli Air Force, directed by IDF intelligence, struck key command centers, Iranian terror regime's armed forces, in sites where activity by regime operatives were identified. The command centers and compounds were struck as Iranian terror regime operatives inside them were advancing terrorist activities against the state of Israel and other countries in the Middle East. Not just Israel, they're targeting their own allies. It's only a matter of time before places like Qatar and even Saudi Arabia say, you know what, enough is enough. Although I don't think Saudi Arabia is an ally of Iran anyhow you take it. The completed strikes are with the goal of increasing the damage to the foundational capabilities and core operational arrays of the Iranian terrorist Ayatollah regime, not the Iranian people. We are talking about the Ayatollah terrorist, radical jihadist regime. Now for the interesting facts segment, for decades we've treated wisdom teeth like a painful biological mistake, something to be ripped out and tossed in a medical waste bin. Yeah, it really does pain when it is a crack or broken up, like mine's in the back. But a massive breakthrough in regenerative medicine have revealed that these teeth are actually packed with a highly versatile repair kit for the rest of your body, not for the tooth itself though. The soft tissue inside, known as dental pulp, contains a specific type of stem cell that is incredibly effective at repairing damaged heart, brain, and bone tissue. What makes these stem cells so special is their multipotency. Researchers have found that they can be reprogrammed to grow into entirely different types of cells. Once you're not using the 2021 type of reprogramming, I'm okay with it. In recent clinical trials, scientists have successfully used these dental stem cells to regenerate lost bone, fix damaged heart valves, and even treat complex neurological injuries.
Welcome to Real Conservative News Travel Adventures. Seville, the vibrant capital of Andalusia in southern Spain, is a sun-drenched city defined by passionate flamenco, Moorish architecture, and fragrant orange trees. Known for its stunning cathedral, the El Cesar Palace, and the iconic Plaza de Espacia, it offers a rich blend of history, intense nightlife, and world-class tapas. Visit the massive Gothic cathedral with the Giralda Tower, UNESCO-listed Royal Eltsar Mujar palaces, and the stunning Plaza de España. Experience authentic flamenco in the Triana neighborhood, or wander the narrow, winding streets of the Barrio Santos. Cruise.
Folks, that brings us to the end of today's news report. Thanks again to everyone who continues to support my content. Please like, comment, share, and subscribe. Stay blessed and stay safe, most of all, in Jesus' name.